Hey, come here, check this out. Today we're going to look at the second box of the E minor natural pentatonic, which looks like this. But what I want to do first is I want to do a little practice in that section of the fretboard. I want to do the spider practice, or the 4-note per string practice, and it's going to be in that section because we're going to be doing some playing here where we're going to be playing with our first finger, second finger, pinky, and then when we get to the fourth and the third strings, we're going to play our first finger, ring finger, pinky, and then we're going to do a larger span when we get to here. We could play the box shape, which is this, but we could also play the 3-note per string shape, which is this, which uses our index finger, our ring finger, and our pinky, but it's 2 whole steps. So we want to go ahead and make sure we got a nice warm-up, and it's always good to do these kinds of practices before you play, and this is just a simple one, and then we'll look at the scale and talk about some things that we can do with this scale. So all we're going to do, and we're going to do this over a metronome, is we're going to go 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, along the 6th, the 5th, the 4th, the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st strings. So we're going to just basically play. And then go backwards. And then things you want to think about as you're playing. Keep your fingers as close to the fretboard as possible. And I need to work on that myself. Keep the pick tip as tight in as possible. I like to take the pick and I hook my finger in like this, and the pick is perpendicular to my finger. I bring my finger as close to the pick tip as possible. The thumb sits behind like that, and then you're basically pinching. And when you pinch in like that, right, you got to find the sweet spot. For me, it's maybe not as perpendicular as I said, maybe a little bit as an angle, but it might be better to go more perpendicular. And it's just some things you got to play with, right? And you want to keep your palm on those strings. And like I've said in a previous lesson, we want to make sure that we're not sweeping across with my wrist like this. I'm not playing like this. See how the pick angle is starting to change as I get to the first string? I want to make sure I keep my pick angle the same and move my arm up and down. So it's going to be like this. So I'm moving across. Then going back, up and down. Keep my wrist in, keep my elbow in, and try, I know I'm not the most successful at this myself, but try to keep that wrist bent. If you could play like this, it's going to make things a whole lot easier than if you're trying to play at an angle and you're trying to wrap around the fretboard like this. So wrist in, wrist loose, elbow loose, shoulder can even be down a little bit, and just and that's basically what you want to look at. We're going to do 100 BPM. I always do 100 BPM. Don't ask me why. But if you need slower, turn on your metronome, go slower. If you need faster, turn on your metronome, go faster. We can do this 4 times through, just 4 times through. Nice little warm-up. Then after we do the warm-up, we're going to look at the Locrian mode, but it's in the key of E minor, and it's the second shape of the Aeolian mode. So it's really just the second shape of the natural minor scale. Or you could also think about it as the 7th shape of the major scale. That's another way to think about it, because everything kind of goes back to the major scale. But this song is in the key of E minor, so I'm thinking about it as the second shape of the minor scale. But it's really the Locrian position, or the way the Locrian shape looks. And if you were playing it in the key of F sharp, it'd be the Locrian mode. So something to think about for future. If you want to play Locrian, it gives you an idea what the Locrian mode looks like. So let's go ahead and do the metronome practice, and then we'll take a look at that. Okay, spider walk metronome practice. Here we go. All right, now let's take a look at the Locrian mode, or the position. Again, second position of the E minor scale. And let's play that through 4 times through. So we're playing 2nd, 3rd, 5th on the 6th string, 2nd, 3rd, 5th on the 5th string, 2nd, 4th, 5th on the 4th string, 2nd, 4th, 5th on the 3rd string, 3rd, 5th, 7th on the 2nd string, and 3rd, 5th, 7th on the 1st string. And we're just going to go up and then back. So playing it like this. So that's what I want you to do. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, so now what I want you to do is, on your own, I want you to go ahead and look at your alternate picking, look at your posture and all that stuff, and make sure your fingers are aligned and your wrist is in. And when we play this, and we're keeping everything muted, we're going down, up, down on the 6th string, then up, down, up on the 5th string, down, up, down on the 4th string, up, down, up on the 3rd, down, up, down on the 2nd, and up, down, up on the 1st. Going backwards, we just played that 7th fret on the 1st string, and we just did an upstroke. So going backwards, we'll play the 5th and the 3rd with a downstroke and upstroke. And now we're going to play down, up, down on the 2nd string, up, down, up on the 3rd, down, up, down on the 4th, up, down, up on the 5th, down, up, down on the 6th. And we're back to a downstroke, so we can play up, down, and just keep on going. I do talk about economy picking in some of the Patreon lessons that I have out there, but whether it's economy picking or alternate picking or even just legato, whatever works best for you is what you want to work on. Play to your strengths, whatever works best for you, whatever your strength is, play to those strengths, work on those things. And then also play around with your weaknesses. Like economy picking, I'm not as good at that. So I'll play alternate picking most of the time, and then I practice economy picking. Eventually, that'll start finding its way into my playing because it puts it into my muscle memory. But it takes time. So whatever you're not good at, work on that, but also work on those things that you are good at so you can get those even better. And the things that you are good at, you can start bringing those up a little bit also. You're just kind of pulling everything along with you as you practice. Practice on the stuff you're good at, but also practice on the stuff that you're not good at, and everything's going to get a little bit better. All right, I got a backup track queued up, and I'm going to take this shape and just show you some things that you could do with this shape. Just this one shape, right? We know it's in the key of E minor. Your E minor box can be played at the 12th fret at 12, 14, 15, 12, 14, 15, 12, 14. And if you wanted to just make it a box shape, we could play 11, 12, 14, and then on the 2nd string 12, 13, 15, and on the 1st string 12, 14, 15. So in this second shape here, we're just playing the same notes. Matter of fact, if you start on the 4th string at the 2nd fret, we're playing the same notes here, that 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, and then you have your larger spans here in your 3-note per string shape. But it's the same thing. Listen, same thing. It's just moving it back an octave, but we're adding the notes on the 6th string and the 5th string, which makes this the second shape of that scale, but it's the same notes. So because it's the same notes, it's not going to sound like Locrian, it's going to sound like Aeolian. Or it's going to sound like natural minor, the minor scale, right? E minor. So we're going to play with it, and it just gives you a second shape that you can start using in your solos. I could even play it up here, starting on the 14th fret of the 6th string. You can figure that out though if you want to. But let's hear how it sounds. There's a lot of really cool licks in there. We're going to explore some of those in the next lesson. But this gives you an idea of what you can do. So basically, finding the groove of the song. That's something I'm really big about, finding that groove of the song. So that you're not just blazing over everything. You're not just playing shred licks over everything. You're actually taking your time and you're being melodic with it. And because of the fact that you're training your fingers to hit the right notes, and we're playing that scale, and that's all I played. All I played was that scale. Because we're training our fingers just to play those notes and not play the ones in between, those chromatic notes, like for instance the 4th fret or the 6th fret on the 1st and the 2nd strings. We're not playing those. We're keeping everything tight, making sure we practice our playing, keep everything tight. There's just all kinds of cool stuff in there. Those little slidey licks. You got to train your fingers to be able to slide back, because you'll miss it. You'll be like, right? But you got to train your fingers to go from the 7th to the 3rd. Little practice technique you can do there. I know that I want to hit that 3rd fret. So you got to be able to practice that, or going up. Because you'll miss it. Or you'll land on the fret. I can't even do it. Right? So if you're messing up like that, then you've got to train your fingers to go back to where you want them to go. So be able to do that. That's a little practice technique that you can work on. Just a little bonus that I'm throwing in there because I didn't even think about teaching that today. But just something that you can play with and making the music sound good. So you're already halfway there, like G.I. Joe used to say, you know, knowing is half the battle. You're already halfway there by being able to play the scale, which means you're definitely playing the right notes. But the rest of the way is knowing how to find the melody, the groove, the mojo, instead of playing like this. And every solo sounds the exact same way. You're able to add some dynamics to it. And that's something that just takes time. You got to work on that. But we'll look at some licks in the next lesson. If you enjoy this lesson, I do have a free course out there. It's at justpickuptheguitarandgo.com. It's a 7-day course that will help you understand a lot more of these kinds of shapes, help you play all over the fretboard, play intuitively, play with ease and confidence, and as the name of the website says, justpickuptheguitarandgo.com. So be sure to check that out. And I'm also extending this lesson into my Patreon, which is also at Just Pick Up the Guitar and Go. And if you get on my mailing list by signing up for my free course, then I'll let you know when I put out a new Patreon lesson. I'll let you know when I put out a new YouTube lesson and all that stuff as well. And also send some bonuses and things like that out. I do from time to time. So be sure to check that out. Check out the free course at justpickuptheguitarandgo.com. And I also have that backing track in my Patreon as well. I'll put the link down in the description if you want to check that out. So thanks for checking this one out. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this lesson, if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.